Good afternoon. Welcome to the press conference following the EU Justice and Home Affairs meeting. We will start with short statements by the speakers, and after that we'll take a few questions. The text of the Riga statement is already distributed to you, and it's also available on the web page of the presidency. And now, as the first speaker, I invite one of our hosts of the ministerial meeting, Minister of Interior of Latvia, Mr. Rihards Kozlovskis. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Today, during the European Union and United States Justice and Home Affairs Ministerial meeting, we covered a very ambitious agenda and discussed relevant developments and issues of ongoing importance in justice and home affairs. During the Home Affairs part of the meeting, the key discussions were about issues of migratory pressure and possible cooperation between the European Union and the United States, in particular on the fight against smuggling of migrants. We also talked about joint measures for countering terrorism and preventing radicalization, efforts and initiatives in the cybercrime field, which prove the firm commitment of the European Union to fight cybercrime, were also on our table. At the end of the meeting, we endorsed a statement enhancing transatlantic cooperation in the area of freedom, security and justice, which already started to call the Riga statement. The statement outlines concrete actions of cooperation for the coming 5 years in order to address common challenges more efficiently. The statement addresses main areas of cooperation, such as personal data protection, counter-terrorism and countering violent extremism, migration and border control, tracing of firearms and explosives, money laundering and terrorism financing, cybercrime, drugs and information exchange. I would like to underline that adoption of Riga statement is a strong political message that we, the European Union and the United States, stand firm in the defense of our values, our objectives and our interests. I would like to underline the importance that this is a comprehensive and balanced document. Comprehensive because it shows that transatlantic cooperation on justice and home affairs covers almost the same areas as our own EU policies address. We should also be flexible, but that I mean that some threats, in fact most of the threats, are changing and evolving. I hope that our successors as EU chair will have the possibility, on this basis of the statement, to further develop transatlantic cooperation. In conclusion, I would like to point out that today's discussions and exchange of views demonstrated that we have a lot of common work ahead. I am confident that we will advance that with a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kozlovskis. And now I'd like to give the floor to another host of the ministerial meeting, Minister of Justice, Mr. Dzintars Rasnačs. Please, Mr. Rasnačs.
Cienījamie kolēģi.
Dear colleagues, dear journalists, ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning I would like to express my satisfaction and congratulate all of us with an agreement on joint statement on transatlantic cooperation in the area of freedom, security and justice. Today's meeting was of great significance for the EU as well as for the US citizens, as we have to consider that in our modern digital and mobile world, international cooperation plays an ever-increasing role. I am happy that the meeting took form in this exact form and we could discuss topicalities and future challenges. It should be considered as a basis for our future cooperation in the area of justice and home affairs in the future periods. Besides, it's of special importance now, considering the current geopolitical situation. As to justice topics, we discussed data protection issues and mutual legal assistance in criminal and civil cases. Namely, we discussed about the so-called umbrella agreement that will ensure coordinated high-level data protection regulation both in the EU and in the United States of America. It will provide sufficient basis for mutual data exchange in criminal proceedings. We also discussed the so-called safe harbor guidelines that are principles that should be applied by various companies when they process the data of EU citizens for the data protection level to be in line with the EU Data Protection Directive. Thus, EU citizens will be able to be completely sure that the security and protection of their data meets the requirements of the EU. This will have a positive effect on our mutual trade and will contribute to our mutual economic cooperation and economic growth in the future. Currently, as a presidency of the Council of Ministers and as a respective minister, I'm really happy that we discussed the mutual legal assistance. Currently, we have successful cooperation in criminal cases, but the respective agreement is being reviewed and being improved. And we worked on this topic today. But as to civil cases, we discussed possibilities to enhance our cooperation in the future and start discussions about the mutual recognition of judgments. At the end, I would like to express my satisfaction with Riga statement adopted today. It will serve as a useful tool for our future mutual cooperation in the area of justice and home affairs in the forthcoming 5 years. Thank you.
And now I'd like to give the floor to Commissioner for Migration, Home Affairs, Citizenship, Mr. Dimitris Avramopoulos. Please.
Thank you. Good morning to everybody. Good afternoon. First of all, let me start by saying that it is a real pleasure to be here again in Riga for the third time this year. Latvia and the Latvian presidency have done a very, very good job, and I would like to express my thanks to Rihards and the Dzintars for being so generous host to us. I would like to publicly welcome here Attorney General Lynch and Deputy Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, and to thank them for the very open, trustful, and constructive discussions we had. Europe and the United States are long-standing allies and partners. We are very close to each other. We are confronted with the same challenges. And this meeting today, this successful meeting, is more proof how do we work together in front of these common challenges. European Union and the United States relations in the home affairs area are very strong and reflect the strategic character of our partnership. The joint statement we just adopted is another tangible and concrete example of how can we become more effective in upholding and defending our common values. Today, as you know, we focused on 3 major topics in the home affairs area. First, managing migration and cracking down on migrant smugglers. Second, countering violent extremism. And third, fighting cybercrime. These are all burning issues for both the United States of America and Europe, involving many aspects of our cooperation. And of course, if we want to become more effective, we need to further strengthen and enhance our cooperation. Our common work is already solid in the field of counterterrorism, where we established good cooperation mechanisms through Europol, in addition to our PNR agreement and our various joint working groups. On migration, we discussed ways to address the current challenges, especially on the issue of migrant smugglers. I very much appreciate the United States' interest and solidarity on this issue. In our effort to crack down on the network of smugglers, we welcome further cooperation on information sharing and developing better synergies when dealing with countries in Africa and Middle East. Our cooperation in the field of cybercrime is another good example of the effectiveness of our synergies. Our exchange of information led to the shutting down of many so-called darknet domains which distribute illegal goods worldwide. Of course, there were many other topics not explicitly mentioned in our agenda which were raised during our discussions, like visa reciprocity. This issue is very important for the European Union, and I sincerely hope that full EU-US visa reciprocity will be reached soon. Other issues, like drugs or more efficient border checks, also require our attention and will be the subject of our discussions in the future. I'm more than confident that today's Riga statement will bring added impetus to our work. In view of our next meetings in the United States later this year, I look forward to working closely with Attorney General Lynch, as well as with Deputy Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. It is true to say that we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we are committed to move ahead in a spirit of friendship, solidarity, commitment, and determination to serve, as I said at the beginning, our common values. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. The next speaker is Commissioner for Justice, Consumers and Gender Equality, Ms. Vėra Jourova. Please.
Let me first congratulate and thank our Latvian colleagues for hosting a very successful ministerial meeting, and not only for that, I like to thank for the whole period of Latvian presidency, which is the period of very good cooperation between the Commission and the presidency. This ministerial meeting is important because it reaffirmed the strong cooperation between the European Union and the United States of America on justice and home affairs. I was particularly pleased to meet here the new United States Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, and to welcome her on her first official visit to Europe since taking the office. The European Union and the United States cooperate closely based on our shared values, common challenges, and the desire to find joint responses which strengthen the rights and security of our citizens. Today, we have adopted a joint statement in which we agree on concrete points of action. The European Commission has recently adopted the European Agenda on Security. It stresses the need for a criminal justice approach to fighting organized crime and terrorism, covering investigations and prosecution, recruitment, training and financing. The agenda also calls for reinforced criminal justice cooperation, both inside the EU and with our close partners, such as the United States. And this cooperation must take place in full respect of fundamental rights and values, including the protection of personal data. We therefore also discussed the need for effective data protection rules. On data protection issues, we are making solid progress. We reaffirmed our commitment to swiftly finalize the negotiations on both the umbrella agreement on data protection standards for law enforcement cooperation and on the review of the safe harbor framework for commercial data exchanges. On the umbrella agreement, we have made very important progress. In particular, I greatly appreciate the introduction of the Judicial Redress Bill in the United States Congress in March, which, once adopted, will grant enforceable privacy rights for Europeans. This has been a long-standing demand of the European Union, and we greatly appreciate the US administration's support for this measure. Adoption of the Judicial Redress Bill will allow for the conclusion of the umbrella agreement, which ensures a high level of data protection and greater legal certainty for our law enforcement data exchanges. I also remain committed to finalize the text of the agreement and initial it as soon as possible. We are not fully there yet, but I can tell you we are not far. We would then conclude it once the Judicial Redress Bill has become law. On safe harbor, with the Department of Commerce, we have achieved solid commitments on the commercial aspects. However, work still needs to continue as far as national security exemptions are concerned. Discussions will continue with the aim of achieving a robust revision of the safe harbor framework in the near future. We also today discussed the Mutual Legal Assistance Agreement and its review. We agree that cooperation already works well. This important tool allows us to be able to prosecute and convict perpetrators of serious crime. We will carry out a thorough review of the agreement this year to see if its practical functioning can be further improved. We will have a seminar in the autumn with Eurojust and be sure to involve the practitioners in this reviewing process. Regarding money laundering and the Financial Action Task Force, I am happy that the EU and US will work together to make this a stronger tool in the fight against financial crime. Following our recently adopted rules on anti-money laundering, we will be able to cut financial flows to criminals and terrorists. Finally, I would like to mention our work on victims' rights and the fight against violence against women. I see this as a very important priority for the European Union, and these are issues where the United States has very valuable experience. Today, I have suggested to Attorney General Lynch that we explore ideas on how to exchange best practices in this area to the benefit of citizens on both sides of the Atlantic. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jourova. And as the next speaker, I would like to introduce the Attorney General of the U.S. Department of Justice, Ms. Loretta Lynch. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be here in Latvia at the end of what is actually my first official overseas trip as Attorney General of the United States. I would like to thank the Presidency for being such an excellent host throughout these proceedings, as well as everyone that I've met here. It was indeed also my honor to accompany Minister Rasnačs yesterday evening to the Safe House, an organization right here in Riga that does such important work to protect the victims of human trafficking. That illustrates the many common bonds that we have here. In fact, as you have heard, we have discussed a great number of detailed issues here today and come to important resolution and advancement on so many of them. I will not go over them again in detail, but to say that the issues that we've talked about have focused on those that are the most challenging for those of us who work in areas of law enforcement: national security and terrorism, cybercrime, how to protect the most vulnerable among us. And we have had and made great progress and made very practical progress and changes in these very important areas. We are indeed happy to endorse the Riga document that will come out today as well, as it reflects the sustained work of people on both sides of the Atlantic who have taken a great time and interest in looking at these issues. Throughout these proceedings, both the preparation and the meeting today, what has been most striking is how well we have worked together. It is true that we may come from different legal backgrounds or different personal backgrounds, but we are all united in our common goal, which is the protection of the citizens of our respective countries and of the world, and the desire to stop the spread of terrorism, which harms all of us. As we have made important progress, and I'm pleased to note again that I am so happy that we are close to final accord on such important measures as the umbrella agreement and the safe harbor provision. We have also sought to balance the individual rights to privacy with the need to offer the greatest protection to all of our citizens. And I believe that we are indeed close to striking that balance and coming to a very, very positive accord. The fact that we may view the world differently is one of the strengths of the cooperative relationship between the United States and the European Union. Our differences make us stronger because they allow us to learn from each other. They allow us to grow from each other. The United States has been pleased to offer assistance, both prosecutorial and investigative, to the European Union, not just on a case-by-case basis, but on issues. We have been just as happy to receive information and assistance from our colleagues and partners here in the European Commission. We have also learned a great deal from you and have been able to advance important debates within our own civil society after having had very serious, very substantive, and very helpful discussions with our colleagues here in the European Commission. So I thank you for this warm welcome, and most of all, I thank all of the commissioners and ministers who gathered today for the work that they and their staffs have put into coming up with concrete solutions to very real problems that face us all. We are always stronger when we act together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lynch. And now the final speaker is the Deputy Secretary of U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Ms. Alejandro Mayorkas. Please.
Thank you, and allow me to echo the Attorney General's expression of gratitude. I want to thank Minister Kozlovskis and Commissioner and Minister Rasnačs for their wonderful hosting of the entire delegation and, of course, for our visit here. Yesterday evening, I had the opportunity to take a beautiful walk on the bridge over the river, and I was quite captivated by seeing the architecture, the traditional architecture on one side of the bridge and the skyline of the contemporary design on the other. And I think that is a very symbolic of the bridge that exists across the Atlantic. From our common values, our shared concerns are born, are shared in common efforts towards a more secure today and a more prosperous and better future tomorrow and beyond. In the United States, when we speak of Homeland Security, we speak not only of the security of our people, but also of the security of our values. And that is no different than the discussion that we had today, and that is so much a part of our efforts with the Commission and with the Presidency, both today and that of Luxembourg tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the kind words. And now we are ready to take a few questions. And media representatives, please say your name, the media you represent, and to whom you are addressing the question. Please. Okay, if I may, the gentleman in the dark jacket and glasses. Yeah.
My name is Yoris Kasha from the Wall Street Journal. Obviously, this was a question you must be expecting regarding the U.S. probe into FIFA. Is Mr. Sepp Blatter a person of interest or a suspect in the probe that the FBI is conducting and that was unveiled last week? Also, there have been suspicious payments made that are mentioned in the indictment. They seem to be connected to the South African World Cup. Has anything been discovered that would connect some of these suspicious payments either to the World Cup in 2018 in Russia or the planned World Cup in 2022 in Qatar?
If I may interfere here a little bit, maybe we can divide this question part into two. First, the questions which goes about the conference and the meeting, and then the second part will take about the football. Do you have any questions about to the speakers about the meeting, ministerial meeting? Anyone? All right, then, Ms. Lynch, the floor is.
Thank you for the question. With respect to the FIFA investigation, as was announced last week, we are not able to comment further on the nature of other individuals who may or may not be under investigation. This is an ongoing matter. It's an open case, and so we will now be speaking through the courts. As we did indicate last week, the investigation is ongoing. I simply would like to reiterate again our thanks to the Swiss authorities who worked so well with us in coordinating the arrests last week. This was yet another example of international cooperation. With respect to your question about the World Cup games, as I believe I indicated last week, and has been confirmed, the Swiss authorities do have an investigation underway, and their investigation covers matters involving the World Cup awarding for 2018 and 2022. And beyond that, I'm not able to comment.
Next question about the football. Please, two gentlemen in a sequence.
Thank you. Ryan Sabit-Parry from the Associated Press. Ms. Lynch, how do you view the resignation of Mr. Blatter? Many are saying this is a positive day for world football or world soccer. How does the Department of Justice view his shocking resignation?
Well, I don't have a comment on Mr. Blatter's decision to step down, except to say that we certainly hope that the organization will be able to move forward in a way that is supportive of its goals, which are the promotion and regulation of a truly wonderful sport.
Okay, next question.
Hello, my name is Dzintars Zēles. I'm a representative of Reuters news agency. At the last press conference, Ms. Lynch, you indeed said that FIFA has some soul searching to do. And what do you believe? Is the organization properly addressing the issues raised by the indictment at the moment? How would you assess it?
Sorry, say the last part again, please.
During the last press conference, you said that FIFA has soul searching to do. And let me say that given those people in charge of FIFA, including Blatt, how he reacted, and one could say that it was kind of a cynical matter, and times of questioning, there was also at times questioning the timing of the arrests. Do you believe that the organization is properly addressing the issues raised by the indictment?
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm not able to comment on how FIFA is choosing to manage itself at this point in time, except, as I've said before, to wish them the best as they strive to get back to the focus of promoting and regulating a sport and also providing access to that sport, particularly for underprivileged children around the world.
Okay, maybe we'll take one or two questions. So that was a gentleman who came from back to the front.
Thank you very much. Attorney General, this is Claudio Lavanga from NBC News. I would like to know, going back to the events that unfolded in Boston yesterday, I'm moving away from FIFA, but I'm going to go back to FIFA. The events that unfolded yesterday with the shooting of a suspected terrorist and the arrest of another person, is that correct? And can you confirm that the government has foiled or averted a terror plot in Boston?
Well, because this is also an ongoing matter and that is under active law enforcement investigation, I'm certainly not able to go into the specifics of that particular case. What I can tell you is that wherever we see evidence of a potential terrorist activity, we will take the appropriate law enforcement steps.
Just going back
the
to
last question.
Just going back to FIFA, just one. I know you can't comment on the decision by Sepp Blatter to resign, but what did you make of the decision by FIFA by the members of FIFA to re-elect Blatter days after the scandal broke out? Do you think that is a sign that most people at FIFA thought that Blatter did not know about the racketeering and the bribery that emerged from that investigation, or is that a sign that that was a practice that was widely accepted?
I don't have a comment on those actions. I'm not able to speculate on the thoughts of others.
All right, thank you. With that, I'd like to conclude our press conference. Thank you very much. And thank you, the speakers.